And I'll be reading in your hearing this morning, Proverbs 20. And I'm going to be focusing on 5 verses, and that's verses 1, 3, 7, 11, and 22. And the focus of this morning is going to be, when we begin with wisdom, choosing integrity, self control, and godly direction. Proverbs 20 reminds us that wisdom is not just something we seek in difficult moments, it is something we must choose daily. This chapter speaks to how we govern ourselves, how we respond to others, and how we trust God when our how we trust God when life tests our character. To begin with wisdom means we allow God's truth to shape our reactions before emotions, impulse, or pride takes the lead. Wisdom shows up in restraint, integrity, patience, and especially when life gives us reasons to react otherwise. So Proverbs 20 verses 1, it teaches that wisdom requires self-control, while the verses speak specifically about alcohol, its message extends further. Anything that controls our behavior or clouds our judgment pulls us away from wisdom. A wise life begins with clarity of the mind and discipline of the heart, choosing not to be mastered by impulses that lead us astray. Verses 3 in Proverbs, we are reminded that honor is found in restraint. Wisdom does not need to win every argument or respond to every offense. Choosing peace over conflict reflects maturity, strength. The wise person understands that not every battle deserves a response. So that brings us to verses 7. And verses 7 highlights the power of integrity. Walking uprightly is wisdom. And walking uprightly is wisdom lived consistently. This verse shows us that our daily choices create a lasting impact, not only for ourselves, but for those who come after us. Integrity builds trust and leaves a legacy that blesses others. Verses 11, it teaches that character reveals itself through behavior. Wisdom is not measured by age or words, but by conduct. Even the smallest actions speak loudly about who we are becoming. A wise life is visible and consistent godly behavior. And our final verse, 22, it calls us to trust God's justice. Wisdom refuses revenge and chooses patience. Waiting on the Lord is an act of faith, believing that God sees every wrong and will respond in his perfect time. Wisdom rests in God's sovereignty rather than taking matters into its own hands. So, together, these verses shows us that wisdom begins within. It governs our impulses, it guides Our responses shapes our character and anchors our trust in God. Proverbs 20 teaches that wise living is steady, disciplined, and rooted in integrity. And when we begin with wisdom, our lives reflect God's order, peace, and purpose. So, in closing, to begin with wisdom is to choose God's way before our own. Proverbs 20 invites us to live with restraint instead of impulse, integrity instead of convenience, and trust instead of retaliation. These choices shape not only our present, but our future and the legacy we leave behind. So as we move forward, let us pause before reacting. Choose honor over conflict and trust God with what we cannot control. When wisdom leads, our lives reflect faithfulness of the God who guides us. So, Lord, teach us to begin every step with wisdom, with your wisdom. Bless your people today, God. Amen, amen, and amen.